Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Writer's Bunkhouse, the official for Horsemen publishing podcast. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. We spend time talking to the different writers of the Four Horsemen. And in today's bunkhouse is Maria. And I'm so excited to see you because you and I had a lovely time on my other podcast, Set Lusting Bruce.
Yes, thank you for having me back.
And what was fun is, unbeknownst to Rob, our wonderful leader at Four Horsemen Publishing, you and I had already been exchanging emails about, hey, can I come back, Jesse? I want to talk to you some more. And so that was really nice. So welcome to the podcast. In case someone has not listened to a earlier podcast, tell us a little bit about you, Maria.
Where do I begin? So I am a dark fantasy, and horror author. And I've been writing professionally since 2010. And I've quite a back catalog out there, and I'm still pumping them out. By day, I am an English teacher to seventh grade middle school children. So that's interesting. And just doing my thing and on my book tour right now. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What are you touring on?
I do this year and years past, I've been mostly local in Florida because that's where I live. And I do a lot of horror convention, book signings at I love mom and pop bookstores because I
Sure.
think they're so like genuine and they're so like, I don't know, it's community, right? I've been out on the road like every weekend, nonstop. It's been crazy.
Nice. And how is the school year going?
If you take out the 11 days that we were out for hurricane stuff, everything's been great. I have a really good crop of kids this year. And yeah, they're fun. I love the age. The age is so interesting because they're like cuckoo crazy and I'm cuckoo crazy. So we blend together.
Florida, correct?
Yes.
I had recently a guest from Ohio, and I asked her this question. Are you so tired of the election? And because as a Florida, as a swing state, are you just so tired of all the campaign ads?
Yeah. Yeah. Watching streaming or TV, Hulu, whatever, you get the
Yeah.
ads, and it's every other ad is a political ad. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we get this. At this point, I think everybody knows who they're voting for.
Right.
17 days, 16, whatever it is. So it's a little, it's overwhelming. You just,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go back to your roots. Where did you grow up, Maria?
I grew up in New York on Long Island.
Okay.
And I lived there like the majority of my life. And then I got married and we were like, let's get out of here. And we came to Florida. So I've been in Florida for 20 years now.
Does Florida or New York feel home?
It's really that's a rough one. God, New York will always feel like home. Like
Yes.
because my family, my pretty much my whole entire family is still up there. So when I go to visit, it's like I have my people.
Sure.
But I have my people here too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll let you say both, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an acceptable answer. So growing up in New York, was it a family of readers? And were you a big reader as a kid?
Okay. Family, not readers at
Okay.
all. My parents value education hardcore, but they themselves were not big readers.
Okay.
I was a big reader, I would say up until ninth grade,
Okay.
because I think having them forcing me to read certain texts and not being able to read what I wanted to read, it turned me off to it. So then I, in turn, became a crappy reader. I'm not a good reader at all. I can read well, I know how to
Sure.
read, but I just don't read as much as I should.
How do you balance you remembering a freshman or middle school Maria rebelling against what a teacher was forcing you to read? How do you balance that with now you're the person telling them what to read?
I know, right? That's crazy. When
Mhm.
it's very different. The education system is
Right.
like night and day from when I grew up to now. And also the New York education system versus Florida education system.
Okay.
So when I provide text for the kids to read, I never say to them, okay, take this book home and read 4 chapters and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. No, but we do it together. So
Okay.
they're forced to do it. And then I always set aside for them, I encourage them like, hey guys, you're reading, but I don't care what you read, and have at it, have fun. And they like having that freedom. But when it's like the assigned text, we're doing it together.
How much does the curriculum force you to select certain books or poems or short stories, and how much of it is dealer's choice?
None. Zero dealer's choice. They say these are the 2 books that you have to read this year. That's what you're doing.
How?
Now,
Yes. Go
okay,
ahead.
me,
Yes.
I yeah, I insert what I need to insert.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, it does. That was my next question is how do you make it creative and make it so it isn't The Great Gatsby, or not that I'm crapping on The Great Gatsby or The
Right.
Crucible or something, right? It just there's sometimes I remember that um the our my Mrs. Weeks, who is my English teacher, okay, we can read, and I don't even remember what it was, or if everyone will go to Scholastic Book Fair and buy this book, we'll do this book instead, right? And
Wow.
yeah, and that's when that's how I read The Outsiders. That's how I want to do something about the Pigman or something. I don't
Man was a
remember.
good one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she was like, and I don't know how she was able to get that done, but it was fun. It was Louisiana, so maybe that wasn't quite Louisiana in the late 70s
Okay. So
compared to Florida in the under the
right,
current administration. No,
right.
yeah,
Enough said.
yeah,
So I'll pick whatever it is in like the curriculum. Say we're reading a poem or a short story or whatever it
yeah.
is. I'll pick something that's adjacent to that particular text. And I'll be like, okay, so if we're looking at this, well, let's look at this and let's compare and contrast. And I always put the educational value onto it, what I present to them a lot better. Which is not to say that there's interesting stuff in our curriculum that they do enjoy. And I really lean into it. Like we're about to do Annabelle Lee, Edgar Allan Poe. And
Okay,
I'm dressing up as Edgar Allan Poe for Halloween, and I'm
right.
gonna do like a whole thing. Like I'm leaning into it to make it interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's I remember, and I think that's great. Little Steven from Springsteen's band is very much he supports education and arts in school. And he said, music is the key. He says, oh, who do you like? Beyonce. Oh, do you know Aretha Franklin really influenced her a lot? Oh, okay. By the way, do you know Aretha Franklin came from Detroit? Oh, and do you know the wide way that a lot of the race then he says, and all of a sudden now then we're in civil rights starting from
Right.
Beyonce.
And you layer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess what you do. Nice. So before they took the joy of reading out of your soul, what did you love to read?
Okay, I was a dork.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
I was a little bit of a dork, and in my younger years, I loved reading stuff like The Babysitter's Club.
Yeah.
And there was this series, a mystery series that I had fallen in love with. I wasn't into Nancy Drew because that was a little too
Okay.
hokey for me, but
Yeah.
I liked. It was a series called Cherry Hill,
Okay.
and I dug that when I was younger. And then I got into in about seventh, eighth grade. I got into Anne Rice and Pet Cemetery, Stephen King. So that
Yeah.
like, oh, whoa. And then I got into the Anne Rice naughty stuff.
Yeah.
Very young, too young. I shouldn't have been reading that at the age that I read it at. And yeah, that was fun. That was fun stuff. So that got me really into the horror authors.
Yeah. And so if and you've talked about you still are a casual reader and it's something, but when did you know you wanted to start writing?
Oh, I always knew.
Okay.
I always knew.
You're
Like
one
that
of
was,
those.
yeah, yeah. Like itty bitty tiny kid picking up crayons and making stories and all that.
Right.
Um, the reason why I became a teacher was because I knew I wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, I have this day job. I'll have a day job and I'll teach, but then in the summer I can write books and stuff. And
Okay.
that's, and I had that idea in my head all the way back from the third grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always knew that writing was going to be my jam.
I think I've mentioned this. We may have mentioned this in our first discussion, but I have a friend named Tom Zoller who is an artist and a writer, and he tells that story that from the moment he picked up a crayon, he knew he wanted to draw for a living. That was the only thing he ever wanted.
Yeah.
You know, it is. Let's talk about when did you're teaching, but when did you decide, what was the first thing you did where I'll ask two different questions. One, because the question always people ask is, oh, when did you first get paid? But, and I do want to know that, but I also want to know what was the first time you did something that you went, yeah, okay, I think I nailed that story or that voice. Can you remember?
I wrote my first book,
Okay.
2010, The Coal Elf. My very first dark fantasy, elves at the North Pole, they mine the coal for the naughty kids. It's a crazy little wicked tale. The first, the first manuscript, the first draft, I gave it to my husband and he read it and he hated it. He put big X marks all over it and he told me it sucked and I cried. After that heartbreak, I decided I'm going to dig my toes in and I'm going to really pull this sucker apart, revamp the whole thing, add what I need to add, fix what I need to fix. I'm going to dedicate myself to doing this. And it took me 6 months after I had written the original. So after that, after I presented him the second draft
Yeah.
and he smiled when he was done. And that's when I knew, I was like, all right, we got something here. And that's when I felt like I was accomplished. I was like, all right, I'm going to run with this. I'm making this my goal. I'm doing it.
So I take it the feedback he gave you was valid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I still have the copy of the first draft with all of his notes on it. And when I look back at that, I'm like, yeah, he was 100% right. This sucked. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're getting feedback from somebody that you love and you
Yeah.
trust, like with your whole heart and your whole soul. My husband, he's supposed to love me,
Yeah.
right?
He's your soft place to fall. He's your biggest cheerleader, right?
Exactly. He's supposed to be.
Yes.
But by him giving me that harsh critique, he was being my cheerleader
Yeah.
because he knows me so well that he knew that's what I needed, the hard line. I needed to hear it in order to progress.
When I had been involved in different fan fiction groups and when it's all we love it, and if you didn't love it, you didn't say anything. And so my friend Tom that I was talking about was working on a comic and he would send a page at a time. And oh, it's wonderful. And he reached out to me separately and said, if it's wonderful, thank you. But saying it's wonderful doesn't help me. The reason I'm giving you this early is it making sense?
Mhm.
Does it work? And it very quickly went, I, I'm a little confused how you went from page 7 to page 8. I don't understand the transition, Tom. Or, oh, I really liked Abby's dress. You, because he would talk about, he would try to, would use different fashion magazines, everything to draw the characters for clothing. And, or no, I don't understand. And I always think, I'll hear people talk about, especially TV writers, that they go, sometimes you want to blow off the notes you get from an exec,
Mhm.
but there's usually, if they're not getting it, is there a better way to communicate it, right?
There's a disconnect
Yeah.
happening.
And so that's a truly beautiful gift. The what we do in our house, and this is from my best friend Sam. Sam, I was complaining about something at work And I looked over to him and he said, supportive, logical. I
Oh,
said, supportive. Oh, yeah, they're full of crap. I can't believe they're asking you to do this. You are so right to be mad. Logical. Let's think about it from their end. And I, since then, have that's been used often in our house. Are you wanting me to be supportive or do you want me to be logical? Because
hmm.
sometimes I just want you to be supportive. I want you to say that person who said that the podcast sucked was just full of crap and they're a horrible person and their
Right.
mom must have hated them too. But then other times you want someone to go, the reality is, I do think the sound was a little bad on this one, Jesse, or I do think you rambled a little. So, yeah, it can go back and forth.
We could do something similar too. It's like comfort or advice. Do you want me
Perfect.
to just sit and listen to you and hug you and hold you? Or do you want me to like this situation with you to help you?
Yeah, that is so well said, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want comfort. And other times we'll often joke about, I think the key to a successful relationship, I times it thoughts, are figuring out when are they asking you to fix something and when are they just venting, right? And sometimes you get them confused and and
Exactly.
you can that can be awkward, but yeah, that's a good thing. Yes, I do want to, for those of you who maybe have not experienced Anna Maria's book, I do I remember the story, but I would love for you to talk a little bit more about the poor elves who are in charge of making sure Santa has coal.
Okay, so let me tell you. I'm
Let
going
me
to tell
tell
you
you.
because I feel like I could tell you.
Yes.
The elves at the North Pole, when we're growing up, us in the human world, we're
Right.
told that if we're naughty as children, we're getting coal in our sock, right? And that's the threat. That's like the, oh, I don't want to get coal.
Right.
But then the legend stops there.
Right.
We're never told how it gets there, who puts it there, why do they put it there. Like all of those little details are lost in the legend. So I created their story. In my world of the North Pole, things aren't as shiny and pretty and rainbowy as we think it is. I love old Germanic folk tales, and I absolutely am obsessed with Krampus. So I was like, we have dark and scary, me, because that's the world that I live in.
Yeah.
And I love Christmas, I love Santa. So let's blend the two. So yeah, you find out over the course, Ember is the main character, and she's the only female elf that mines coal in the mines. And she goes on this journey of like, why am I here? What am I doing here? Why did Santa Claus put me here? So it's like a coming of age story.
That's nice. That's nice. The but and how many books are in that series?
Three.
Three. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what are you doing now? What are you promoting now?
Okay. So coming out on November 1st, I have the fifth book in my Dawn of the Blood Witch saga.
Okay.
Now, this is my horror adult series, 18 plus. I mean, we're talking the works, right?
Okay.
Now, I know I said the fifth book, it's called Witch of the Golden Veil, but it's technically a standalone because in
Oh,
this saga, all of the books can be read individually and they can be read out of order. It doesn't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be 10. It's planned to be 10. The only book that will have to be read in order is going to be the last one because that's going to bring everything
okay.
together. But yeah, so this one is, they're all based on actual events in history too, because I love true crime. This one takes place in 1987. The main character, Alex, is a paranormal journalist, but she doesn't believe in anything paranormal. Well, she gets a phone call one day and she gets sucked into this adventure to go over to Italy. This is 1987. And she has to report on these unsanctioned exorcisms that are happening in this convent. And she has a connection to one of the characters in this convent, and it just spirals out of there.
Why did you I take it each character, is there a separate protagonist, main character for each book in this series?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because I have so much going on in my head.
Okay.
And I have all of these voices, and this is gonna sound completely insane,
No,
but the writers out there, you know what I'm talking about. There are voices and you hear them and they speak to
sure.
you. And those voices become eventually like characters and
Yeah.
you put them in situations and all that. So when I wrote the first book in the series, it was going to be one and done. Like it's Witch of the Black Circle. That was my baby. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I wanted to write another book, but I really love witches. And I wanted to stick with the subject matter. And I was like, okay, I have an idea for a second book, but it's not really a second book, but it is, but I can really meld them together. And it just grew from there. There is one character that is in every single book, and he's the combining force,
Okay.
basically. But
He's the golden thread that goes through.
yes, he
Okay.
is. He's actually, when push comes to shove, he's my main character.
Okay. It what it does it allow you to do, you mentioned creative voices, but do you get to use different creative muscles with different characters? And are the books, are they similar or are they different? And I mean that is the themes, are they different themes?
So this is going to sound so crazy. It's going to sound so
No, no.
crazy. But obviously, like the witches have this overarching like goal, right?
Right.
They all want the same thing, but how they go about getting their goal is very different. So
Okay.
like book 6 that's coming out next year, that one goes whoa, like to crazy town. The main character of that one spoke so loudly to me, and she was so different than any of the other characters that I had ever written. Then I've got like the real powerful ones that really shine through, and I hear them in a different way. So yeah, creative muscle, they're different in in their personalities and in their voices. Does that make sense? That's
No, it
crazy,
really
right?
does. Because, what I was wondering is, be set in that world, you can do, and not just in different types of genres in that same genre, right? If you
Yes.
talk about coming of an age
Yes.
or romance or a thriller or or suspense.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
So with in one book, the main character, she has no idea that she's even a witch. She
Right.
doesn't even know, she knows nothing of her powers, and it's her growing into it. Then there's another book where you straight up know she's the most powerful witch to ever exist.
Yeah.
So it's like they all have their own separate identities.
That sounds great. You think, you said this series, you think in your mind there's going to be 10?
Oh, yes, there
Yeah.
will be.
Okay.
There will be, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I asked you this last time, but as I said, it's a new audience. What haven't you done that you want to do? Obviously, you love dark fantasy and this. Is there something else that's in the back of your mind you want to try?
I don't remember what I said to you last time because I think
It
I'm
could,
very fickle.
yeah, that's okay. So am I.
So it's probably changed since the last time we spoke,
Okay.
but it might be the same. I don't remember. I would love to do something like true crime. Like
Yeah.
I would love to in another life, I totally would have been like a private investigator.
Okay.
So maybe writing some kind of a true crime novel, taking it to in a nonfiction way. But I have so many ideas in
Yeah.
my head that I wanted. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta
Yeah.
do this. I gotta do this.
I
But
love
yeah,
that.
true crime. I think that's something I would like to explore.
That's interesting. How much research do you do in writing?
Oh my God. A lot.
Okay. Talk to me a
Yeah.
little bit about it.
Oh, a lot. And I've done so much research for all of my series because I just feel that it's very important to have all of your ducks in a row. And as a reader, I know people read to suspend disbelief. Like you want to be taken out of the real world and you want to experience some kind of fantasy, some kind of whatever.
Sure.
But I really do believe that part of the magic of reading is in the reality of it. If you have like rules, Or like I said, with my witches, they're all based on actual events, right? Like
Right.
I take it to the Salem witch trials, I take it to certain murder cases that I do talk about, uses like the backdrop. I think having something real and tangible is makes it more immersive for the reader.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay to have a fantasy and tra la land and blah blah blah, but like the North Pole, it's a fantasy setting, but it's based off of folklore,
Right.
stuff that people like oral tradition passed down from generation to generation. So I think holding on to that makes it more immersive.
Do you, when you're writing, are you one book at a time,
Oh,
or do you have two or three projects you're juggling?
no. When I'm writing, I'm all in 100%. I have to give that book my full undivided attention. And it's really funny because, like I said, 10 books, I've got them all planned out. I have a general outline for the rest of the series. I'll be in the shower where I get my best thoughts, best creative outlet. And I'll hear characters from book 8 or book 9. And I'm like, shut up. I'm not ready for you yet. And like I'll get out of the shower and I'll have to write down, okay, she said blah, blah, blah. He said blah, blah, blah. And then I set it aside because when I'm focused on book blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
I'm,
Two stories. Once again, I bring up Tom. Tom keeps water markers in the shower, and he can, when he thinks of stuff, he can write it on the wall. So if he comes up with a panel, oh, that's how I want to do this. So he can write that. So then later can clean it off. So that's for free. So Roseanne Cash told the story that she was in the car, stuck in traffic,
uh-huh.
and something came to her. And she said she yelled to the muse, "Not now! I'm driving!"
Nice. Nice.
So,
Yes. What I'll do is I grab the phone and I
yes,
just talk into it
yeah.
while I'm driving. I know, please don't do that. That's so dangerous. Everybody out there,
But I
don't
know
do that.
what you're saying,
But
yes.
what I mean.
But at least
So
you're not texting yourself a message.
yeah, that smart lady. That,
Yeah,
but it happens. I know, I get it. We've all been there. All creative types, we've been there. The shower, the car, right before bed, right before you
yeah,
fall asleep. You're in that in between when you're like, darn it, oh, I gotta get this down.
yeah. Hmm.
I think you need to do a podcast with me and Tom because I think he
I
and I
do
would
too.
vibe really well.
I think I will try to make that happen. I would love that. I think that would be absolutely fun. I think let's talk about, you got these books ahead of you. The new book is coming out in just a few days, like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 11 days.
Any big book, or any book signing? Do you have anything scheduled?
Yes, I'm going to be at, oh gosh, where am I going to be? I only have 3 more for the rest of the year because like I said, I've
Okay.
been hustling hard this whole entire year.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Intergalactic Flea Market in Auburndale, Florida.
Okay.
I'm doing, oh God, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing Inklings Bookstore in Bartow, Florida on November 9th. And then
Good.
the Intergalactic Flea Market is November 16th. And then I'm going to
Yes.
be at Brandon, Florida, at my Barnes and Noble. So we'll do like a
Nice.
Christmas thing. Yeah, I love doing Barnes and Nobles. They're always so good to us local authors and us
Yeah.
indie people. So yeah, so that'll be cool.
That's really cool.
And then I take a break until
Yes.
next year.
Yes. Do you write though most days?
I write 3 days a week
Okay.
and I put myself like I have a goal. So each day of the week that I'm writing, the 3 days, I write 1,000 words. And that's during the school year. Now, during the summer is a different animal. In the summer, I'll write 3 days a week, but I write between 3,000 and 4,000 words a day.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I have to be structured because if I'm
Okay.
not structured, it will not get done.
And that's important to you?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Do you, if you're on a roll, do you stop anyway?
No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
no. So the book that I'm writing now is book 7
Yeah.
of the witches. And I'll be sitting there and my husband's gonna be like 2 hours gone. He's, wait, you're still writing? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how many words you got? I'm like 2 grand. And he's, what? Like you told me 1,000,
Yeah,
but if I'm feeling it, I'm going.
you got to do it. You got to do
Yeah.
it. That's good. All right, so I'm going to let you in a minute give some final thoughts but I did send you some homework and what I'm a big person I love having hypotheticals and because at my heart I do a music podcast, I I left you I want to know what song do you think is one of the best written songs to you. It is not necessarily your favorite song, but a song that you think is just so well written that you want to talk about it.
When did you ask me this question, Jesse?
I said it in the agenda, but that's okay.
Oh,
That's okay. That's all right. If you
told you
don't
I'm a
know,
crappy reader.
that's okay. You can think about it and then I'll add it. Unless you have one right away.
I no, I don't because music is very near and dear to my heart. So I don't want to screw that one up.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I will email you
Okay.
because I got to think about that. See, I told you I'm a crappy reader, man. Totally like
That's okay.
I totally blanked that. I will email it to you, and then when the podcast airs, maybe
Yeah,
add it in the note.
I will man no, yeah, if you want to send me in a recording, I'll just drop it in and it'll be seamless.
Okay,
You'll just say,
perfect.
"Oh, thank you for asking that question, Jesse." Yeah, and the idea in what came up with this is and I'll cut all this out, was I asked the Mary question on the Springsteen one,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "What's another thing?" And earlier this year, I had 5 or 6 writers join me, and we debated everyone brought 3 Springsteen songs that they thought were the best written Springsteen songs. And then
Oh,
we did a round robin of which ones we think were that his songs were the not our favorite song, but the best
that's
written song
written.
as the best song that, from a literary writer's perspective. So
Okay.
yeah, all right.
Oh, I
That
got to
sounds
think
good.
about that. Yeah, I
All
do.
right.
Hey, Jesse. So basically, I was thinking about this question and I've come down to Devin Townsend and his song Genesis. It's off of his album Empath. And for me, music is very emotional and very spiritual. So if I connect with a song on that deep of a level, it's definitely going to mean all the more to me. The song Genesis is beautifully written. The lyrics are it just hits home, and the arrangement of the music, and it's chaotic and it's beautiful, and when you first listen to it, it doesn't make sense and it's what the heck am I listening to right now, but it makes sense in the end. You got to go with it. And it's a long song, and it definitely deserves more than one listen because that's how visceral it is, and it's got all these different things going on within there's an orchestra and there's background singers, and it's just so full and dense and complete, and it's beautiful. So I think for me, like the most powerful and meaningful song has to be Devin Townsend's Genesis. He's very underrated, and he definitely is a voice for our ages. Like, he's top-notch talent, and I wish more people were into him, but I like the fact that not that many people like him or don't even know about him. So yeah, that's my answer.
Good deal. All right. Excellent answer, Maria. Thank you for sharing that. Gives a lot of insight to you. Any final thoughts before I get you out of here? And how can people find you?
Everybody can find me at my website, mariadevivo.com. That's the simplest one-stop shop that'll take you to all of my socials, my Insta, my TikTok. I love TikTok. I'm fun with that. But yeah, and final thoughts, writing isn't easy. Like I said, I do all these conventions like every single weekend, and I meet so many different people. And a lot of people say to me, I have these ideas in my head and I would love to be a writer. I would love to get it out there. And what could you tell me? One thing that I'm going to say is you can't be a writer if you're not writing anything, obviously. So if you have ideas and you've got something that's brewing in your brain and you're in the shower hearing the voices, you're in the car hearing the voices, you got to write it down. Whether it's just bullet point notes or whether it's a full-blown chapter of something, of anything. And it doesn't have to be good. Editing is your friend, because as long as you get it down on the paper, then you have something to work with. But by just sitting there saying, oh, I wanted this, I wanted that, and if it's really important to you, then you'll make time for it. You will carve out time in your schedule. Be regimented like me. Say, I'm going to write this day and I'm going to get this many words and this many words. And if you have a structure, it'll get done. Next thing, thick skin. You have to have that armor, because not everybody's going to love what you write. And get somebody who's going to tell it to you like it is, like my husband did for me. But if you're just talking to people who are like, oh, this is great, oh, this is great, it's going to give you that false sense of security. So then the first time somebody actually hits you up with a, ooh, maybe you should, it's going to hurt and it's going to sting and it's going to be hard and it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. So you got to have a thick skin. That's my final thought.
That is excellent final thoughts. I remember Lawrence Block, I think, is the one who said this. Maybe someone else, but I remember reading that write an hour a day. And if you can't write an hour a day, write down all the reasons that stopped you from writing. And he says, if you can't come up with that list, then you're just, and he's nicer than me, but you're kidding yourself.
Right.
That in the time you spend having to write everything that's stopping you, you could find the time. And you know what? There is nothing wrong if that's just something you like to. I'd love being a rock star. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But if you actually want to share stories, do it. I agree. Absolutely. Said Maria. Thank you so much. This was, I always love visiting with you. And yes, I am going to figure out a way to get you and Tom together. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh my God. So much fun.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see, make sure I'm going to add this to here. And I'll close with it's Witch of the Golden Veil, right?
Yes. New one coming out.
Yeah. Witch of the Golden Veil coming out November 1st, because you don't want to compete against Halloween, right? Yeah. It is Dawn of the Blood Witch, number 5, available everywhere you find books. Check it out. If you're going to be in Florida, please go tell her and say hi. Marie, thank you so much for spending time with me again. Let's do it again soon.
Please.
We appreciate you.
Oh, and I love you. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. All right, readers, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling sad, I just want you to remember there is a good chance you may have not read your favorite book yet. Thank you, listeners. Be safe, be kind. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. And that's it. A friend of mine told me that, and I said, that's a perfect way to end a writer's book, right? A writer's roundtable.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. That was awesome.
All right. Think about it. Send me an MP3 and I'll add it and it'll be seamless. Love you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Love you, Jesse. Bye.
Bye-bye.